So it finishes Leicester 1, Tottenham 1. Ian Darke is still with us. I want to just kick things off with Stevie. We saw the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City all winning this weekend against inferior opposition. Spurs would have looked at this and be disappointed not to get the win, especially from what we saw in the first half.
Yeah, and Postecoglou wasn't a happy man after this game either. I mean, he's not a guy who comes up with excuses, and he was the same today. He basically just said, in front of goal, they were dreadful.
Yeah.
And again, if you're going to go out and spend 55 million, well, with add-on 65 million on Solanke,
yes,
and he had some good chances in this game, then unfortunately the finger's going to be pointed in that direction. That's why they bought this guy. That's why they spent all the money on it. And so when you're given opportunities, when you play for a team who want to be in the Champions League, you're expected to put the opportunities that particularly he had in the back of the net. And that just didn't happen.
Ian, it's incredible. After watching that first half, and if you told people that Spurs weren't going to win that game, they weren't going to believe you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a crazy and exceptional game of football. I think that was one of the most one-sided halves, if not the most one-sided half I've ever seen in the 30-year history of the Premier League. If Spurs had been ahead by, say, 6 or 7-0, it would not have been an exaggeration. Some of their approach play was absolutely sizzling, but as Stevie said, they just couldn't finish it off. It was amazing that Leicester went in only 1-0 down. And, of course, Jamie Vardy, what a great story. 37 years of age now. He's hardly had a pre-season, hardly trained. He's told the manager, look, I'm okay, put me out there. And he comes up with that goal, and he might have got the winner as well. Leicester could have won it at the end. So football, it's why we love the game, isn't it? That you get matches like that. But how Spurs didn't go away with 3 points, I don't know. By the way, the news on Bentancur is okay. He was not cold, but he's recovered, and he was talking in the locker room afterwards.
Good. That's obviously great to hear. It's interesting, Steve, you mentioned the Postecoglou interview afterwards. The interviewer almost gave him out and said, look, it's just a bit rusty. First game of the season. Just got to get going a bit. And he goes, no, we've got to score these goals.
And actually refer back to last season in saying that this is not a now problem, this is a problem that has been building up, and that we don't put teams away. And while we can focus, and rightfully so, that we focus on them missing chances, because they did create a bunch in the first half in particular, I also think it's concerning if you're a Spurs fan and Postecoglou that when Leicester scored, how quickly the game got out of control for Spurs. And how quickly they now were not able to complete passes or create chances of their own. And it was Leicester that with very little possession of the ball, they were the ones that were looking dangerous. And Spurs got stretched and disorganized, and the control of the game was all gone. And so for me, yeah, focus on the fact that you missed a bunch of chances, and that's obvious. But I also think that you have to focus on the personality of this group and the character of this group as to how quickly they just let go of the control of the match, and Leicester became dangerous towards the end and almost won it, and really should have won it through Jamie Vardy. So there's a couple of issues with Spurs here. It's not just the finishing, which obviously is an issue, but also managing a game when it gets tight, when it gets late, when the crowd is against you. How do you show some leadership and character in actually maintaining possession of the ball and controlling the match and playing at the tempo that you wanted to play, not the lesser team?
They don't have a figure on the field that pulls them together when things are going the wrong way. And that's something that we pointed the finger at them over last year. That's why they went from top of the league after 10 games to losing so many games. When things weren't going well, they were losing, and they couldn't stop it. And that boils down to not having real figureheads on the field in order to pull them together, calm things down, and get them back to do what we do best. They don't seem to have an answer when things are not going their way.
Are we jumping to conclusions too early here, Ian?
Usually, yeah, that's what we do for a living, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we're paid to do. Yeah, we probably are. But it was, as they say over on this side of the Atlantic, a very Spursy thing not to have won that game. In fact, I was saying it to a mate watching it earlier on, and I was saying, I'll bet they throw this away somehow, and they did. So it's mad. They've got a lot of talent, but I think, the guys are right. Character, question mark. Mentality, question mark.
Ian, you were tweeting this week about how ridiculous it is to give any... Here we go. Predictions about this season are pretty pointless, with more chances to be contemplating potential point deductions for 4 clubs. One big question is how much Man City might be affected by the uncertainty over the charges. So you know what we're going to do now, Ian? Ask your prediction!
Yes, here we go. Come on, Darke. Yeah.
Feel free to ignore those predictions, but we don't know what the squad's going to be doing. Let's wait till Friday night.
No.
Hang on, it's all a bit of fun. I think it might be Arsenal's year. It's only a hunch. I do think, and I do wonder whether the Manchester City, the financial case is going to start soon. It's going to go on for several weeks. That we don't know whether Pep Guardiola's staying or going. Might that have an effect? Maybe not. Maybe there'll be a siege mentality at Manchester City and it'll make them even stronger. They certainly were no holes in them at Chelsea this weekend. Liverpool, I think, will get a lot closer to Arsenal and Man City this time. They just faded late on, didn't they? But they look fresh and the squad looks deep as well. And I think the arrival of the new coach at Liverpool has freshened things up. I've heard from people on the inside there that the players really like him. In the second half, they were dominant against Ipswich Town after 1 or 2 problems in the first half, maybe predictably against a promoted team. But, so I can see a 3-way go for the title this year.
Let's talk a little bit more about City, boys. You weren't here yesterday, of course, after their opening win against Chelsea.
I thought we were going to talk more about Ian's sunglasses in that picture.
They do look like almost... you know when they've got to blank out your face?
It feels like they're not taking advantage of his skills and his assets and what he brings to this team. And he's scoring 91 goals in 100 games. And so what do we know? I guess what you could say is that scary for other teams and scary for the Premier League is that I still think that Erling Haaland could be better for Manchester City if they used him properly. I really think that there is more to give for Erling Haaland. And yet, 91 goals in 100 matches, that'll do. That's why you sign a player to score goals, and that's exactly what he's doing. And to that point, I'll say this. A bunch of players get thrown around in terms of, well, he's a goal scorer. That guy's a goal scorer. That's a natural goal scorer. No. Erling Haaland is a goal scorer. He'll miss a few here and there, but he'll keep coming. And he'll be there to score for you. The only thing missing in his resume, really, when you think about it, is scoring those goals in big moments, in that sort of bigger stage. That hasn't quite happened for him, but I only think it's a matter of time.
Meanwhile, Stevie, you take a look at the fact that Caicedo, obviously, they spent a lot of money on. They spent a lot of money as well on Enzo, yet it was Kovacic, who ran that midfield and, of course, scored the second goal yesterday.
And they've got a guy like Kovacic who doesn't score goals, but guess what? He pops up when they need it and scores the winning goal. I wasn't impressed with him. I certainly wasn't impressed with Chelsea. I thought they were bang average. They could have been playing right now and would never have scored. I mean, Jackson up front. Ali's talking about Haaland being a goal scorer. Yeah. Jackson's not a goal scorer. Wasn't impressed with either side. But if they don't keep Haaland fit, they won't win the Premier League.